Today's show was recorded live at Paradiso, North Charleston's premier family-friendly social club. Dine, swim, and vibe with Paradiso. The restaurant and market are open to the public. For hours and membership inquiries, go to paradisochs.com or call 843-885-4663. Hey everybody, welcome to the Shrimp City Report. My name's Devin. Today DJ is taking a break to take care of some him time. And today I'm joined with Madeline, who's a friend of mine, and she's going to be helping us with this art conversation. Okay, today we're joined with Morgan East. How are you doing today, Morgan?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure having you. Morgan is an artist in Charleston, South Carolina, lives in North Charleston near Park Circle, which we mention Park Circle quite a bit on this podcast, don't we, Madeline?
Yes, we do.
Because we live here too.
It's a special place.
It is a special place. How long have you been in Charleston?
We've been here since 2009. Mm-hmm. And we were on James Island, an apartment, and then we bought our house in Park Circle in 2009. So it's been a long time. We've seen a lot of changes.
Have you been in Charleston? So that 2009, that's since you've been in Charleston?
Yes.
Where'd you come from?
So we were in San Diego. I was there for about a year.
Mm-hmm.
My husband was getting his master's degree out there. And then before that, I was in Atlanta.
Okay.
And then before that, I was in school at Clemson.
Okay, that's right. You are a Tiger. Go Tigers.
Yes, go Tigers.
So it must have been something going from San Diego, which is what, no humidity?
Correct.
To Charleston with, which is renowned with humidity.
Yes. That was one of the reasons. So I grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
And my husband he grew up in Bluffton.
Mm-hmm.
And so we both missed the East Coast when we were on the West Coast. My brother lives out there, so it was great to be near him.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing we missed the most were thunderstorms. We're like, why is it sunny here all the time?
Okay, well.
It's getting on my nerves.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Oh, in Bluffton, lovely area. Although as of this recording, there's still 43 monkeys that are,
On the loose.
running wild there. If this podcast, if somehow an zombie outbreak happens from those monkeys, then this podcast will be
the last recording,
the last one ever that'll happen. So Morgan, you went to high school where in Charlotte?
So there's a town called Huntersville, north of Charlotte, and North Mecklenburg High School, just public school, normal kid in a suburban neighborhood. Yeah.
So you're an accomplished artist here, and we'll talk about all the stuff that you've done, your galleries and everything. Were you doing art in high school or little kid school?
Yes, in little kid school. So I can remember back to when I was 7, I illustrated my first book when I was 7 years old, and I was convinced that I was going to be a famous artist and illustrator. And throughout school, into high school and stuff, I would draw on people's arms. I would do the fake tattoos and everything. Did you do the same thing?
Yes. I drew on people and on the walls.
Yes. Yeah. Walls. I drew on my own shoes, all over my homework. And I was the only kid in my art AP class in high school because they didn't have any more levels of art class. So they're just here, you can just do this and, do your portfolio. And my junior year in high school, it was my freshman year, and my brother was a senior, and his art class was at the same time as mine. And I hated my art teacher, so I would skip my art class and go hang out in his class the whole time. Because they would let me do whatever I wanted there.
Art teachers are good about that. They let you wander around a little bit or find your own little space in the studios they have, especially at the high school level.
Yeah, well, that's why my teacher that I had in my freshman year, she was awful. We were in this basement, and she would make us do all these. There were things that you should learn, like complementary colors and doing the color wheel and all the basics, but I just had no interest. And I was I just want to draw what I want to draw.
Yeah.
Did you fly through the basics to kind of get to where you wanted to be? Did you put your time in, didn't you?
I think I just ignored the basics.
Okay.
No, you didn't. I could tell by looking at your art.
It's practice over time. But, it was interesting because in high school, I as I was going through it, I was also very interested in math and science. And so I was a part of this like architecture club, engineering club. And when I applied to college, my parents really didn't want me to go to art school.
Right.
And so I applied for engineering, and I was like, all right, I'm going to pursue this whole other path. And I got on like the wait list for NC State, but I got into the graphics program at Clemson.
Okay.
And that was after trying to get in for architecture, didn't get in. But I was like, all right, I'll settle with this. I can do some sort of artistic work with graphic communications. Sure. But it wasn't a design program, which I thought that's what it was going to be. So when I got into the program, it's actually very technical. They teach you the traditional methods of printing. Like you run a printing press, you make a book, you learn about paper, you go to paper mills. And so again, I was like, wait, this was not what I signed up for, but I liked it that it was, it was hands-on. They had a really great reputation with getting you a job after school.
Yeah, they do, I've heard.
That's how I got into like the printing and publishing world. Yeah. And I don't regret it. Like I learned a lot, being in the business side and everything. But I always do wonder, like, what would it have been like if I had gone to art school?
Yeah. I understand.
Yeah.
So have you taken since you graduated Clemson, have you taken workshops or classes from other artists?
Yeah. So when I had my first job, I worked at Hewlett-Packard in Atlanta after school. And while I was there, I never really painted before. So while I was there, I took an acrylic painting class and I did some portraits of, like I went around to, I think, 5 Points in Atlanta, photographed some people, did a few paintings based off of those, and kind of like put it aside for a while. I moved to San Diego after that, and I got more into photography for a while. That was probably like, I would say in college, because with the graphics program, that's what they really focused on is photography and printing. I thought about being a lighting designer for music, like for concerts.
That would be cool.
It would be very cool. So I really got into lighting, and then so that just kept, it was easy to do. I always had a camera with me. And then over time, I think maybe like not until we moved to Charleston, and I would say in the last 5 to 6 years, I started to take I took an oil painting class with Joyce Hall out in West Ashley. And I've taken like a watercolor class at Redux and a few other places.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Do y'all think it is a good idea to, I hate to call it continuous education, but to keep doing classes like that? Do you think you ever feel like you're at the level that you want to be, Morgan?
I always feel like you should take a class. I feel like you should take a class at least once a year.
I concur. I think you should take at least one good week-long workshop out of the year because you learn something new in everything you do.
Yes, no matter what class I've taken. Like I took a printmaking class at Redux last year, and that was wonderful. I may not use the things that I learned every day, but there's just certain pieces that you take away. I took an expressive mark making class online, which was great.
That's my jam, man.
And then I've also taken just like figure drawing classes online. I mean, just so many different things can help you. I do a live like figure painting class with Peggy.
Peggy Howe?
Yeah. So we do that at her house, which is helpful. But I think no matter, like for the rest of my life, I just plan on experimenting with different tools and techniques because you can never know everything.
Yeah. Well, I guess the different tools and techniques can also be inspiring, that you might have another arrow in your quiver, so to speak.
Yes.
If you ever want to mess around with something else to do your other pieces.
Or you can cross it into other things. Maybe she does want to make a book with her, like a monologue or something with her work in it. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
She knows how to put it together.
Yeah.
And I mean,
she knows how to use Quark.
Oh,
do they even
in
use
design?
That?
No, they don't.
That's how old
Quark,
I am.
and there was a designer we worked with at one of the printing companies I worked with, and she still used Quark and refused to switch over to InDesign. And so we had to like redo all of her files for her.
I saw your eyes roll.
It's okay.
What was this Quark you speak of?
It's how you set up your pages and
the page
book.
layout software.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's nice to take little history with that as well.
Yeah.
Why do you know about Quark? What did you do?
I had a friend that used to run a publication, kind of like a small town creative loafing or city paper or whatever.
Yeah. In Charlotte?
So it was in Aiken.
Okay.
And she used it.
Got it. Yeah.
Okay. That wasn't all too long ago. I was wondering if you were like using technology from 1960s or something.
No, it's like 20-something years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I wondered why I hadn't seen the name the other day.
No, I don't think it exists anymore.
Back in the old ages. Yeah. Now I need my walker to go over to Morgan so she can teach me how to use
this new InDesign.
All right, Morgan, tell us about what is your style? What do you do? How do I ask her that, Madeline?
What's your favorite subject matter? What kind of materials do you use? Mediums?
Yeah.
Okay.
So recently, I've really been getting into oil painting. It's something that I was terrified of for a long time. And then when I finally took that class with Joyce, I learned the basics. I'm like, oh, this is actually way easier than acrylic painting.
It is easier.
It's like butter. You can move it around. You can wipe it away if you mess up.
Mm-hmm.
And then my subject matter lately has been painting women underwater. And that's something I've been really focusing on the last couple of years. Every once in a while, I will switch over and I'll do some landscapes just to kind of break it up. And, it's difficult sometimes to paint people, doing anatomy constantly takes a lot of focus. But I still like to experiment with watercolor and ink. And like any water-based mediums are a lot of fun. And again, gives me a break from doing oil all the time. I do eventually want to try sculpture or something in the future, but right now I will just keep working on, oil painting and focusing on painting women underwater.
When you're doing figurative work or women underwater, what's the consideration that you may be having to make it look like that or to capture that?
Tell us your process.
Or, movement. That's kind of...
Yeah, exactly. So I guess it's been about a year. Last year, I hired a mentor because I never went to art school and I felt like I really needed somebody to push me creatively. And that was one of the things that I felt like my figures were a little stiff, even though I was painting women underwater. And I was like, I want to get more like energy and movement and emotion. So when people look at my paintings, they're not just focused on, oh, that's a figure underwater. It's like I want them to connect with it and feel something. And what I learned was using the expressive mark making, doing that as like the base layer. So there's always like an underpainting with oil painting. The more expressive I am with that, it prevents you from being too tight throughout the entire painting.
And it creates rhythm too.
Yeah.
Your work, when I look at it, is so rhythmic. It looks like it's moving, and I love that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is an underpainting like an actual picture under it?
So a lot of people will, I use transparent red oxide is one of the paint colors, or burnt sienna. So it kind of gives it a warmer tone underneath, and it unifies the painting as you're working on it. And the other thing that I like to do is those first initial layers, I keep them very thin because I want that warmer color to show through. And I want it to appear like you're underwater, like give you that depth.
Okay, that's cool.
And I use these silicone, they're almost like silicone spatulas. And there's these brushes. So I will put the thin layer on and I will carve away. So as each layer, as I add it on, I'm bringing in these like different colors to show through.
That's fascinating.
And then splatter and yeah, that's
cool. I mean, a lot of us think that, artists are basically putting it on in one coat or one layer or, keeping it within the lines.
It's not like a coloring
the right
book.
numbers with the right stuff. No, that's really interesting. And it sounds like if oil is like butter, I would still be scared to death of messing up. But y'all said you can wipe it away if it's kind of quick to do it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, and then of course, if you still don't like the painting, that after it cures, you can paint over it very easily. The part that can be challenging because if you want to keep it transparent, it's like once you get to those opaque, so I do finish with like more opaque layers.
Okay.
And I'll start using a knife, like a palette knife, but to add like the highlights. And that's the part I've learned with painting water is I have to be very patient because I always want to add that light because it's so exciting to see it come to fruition. But I'm like, okay, I gotta wait. I will add it. It'll come eventually.
When did you learn that patience doing this?
Just practicing. Yeah. So last when I hired my mentor, there was a transition period, and it was very difficult because I realized that the way I was painting my figures, they were almost like cutouts because they weren't incorporated with the background well enough.
Okay.
So you're trying to create that unity and cohesiveness of the whole design and picture of the painting.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a whole process I do even before I get to the painting. I mean, it doesn't, honestly, the work I do before is what takes me the longest because I have to photograph my model underwater. And I just use, friends' pools, and I just use my iPhone. I have a case for it. And then I have to, like the last photo shoot I did, I had probably 900 to 1,000 photos that I took.
Oh my gosh.
So then I have to go through those and figure out what are the best, like compositionally. And I take pieces of one photo, merge them in another in Photoshop. And then I think about them. I dream about them. I sketch about them. I draw and Procreate. And
I'm glad you said you dream about them. Have you ever had a dream? Because I have. I'm not sure if you have. Yeah. But I've had dreams where I am not completing a painting correctly. And then I go to sleep and it's like, oh, you just do this. Yes. And I'm like, why couldn't I think of that? But it's in my dream.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Your brain is always going. I feel like as an artist, it just you never stop. Like I'll be driving, I'll think about, it'll pop into my head. I'm like, oh, that's what I need to do. Or I'll just, some mundane task. And then you'll realize that's what will make that better. And then you have to go and do it.
Yeah.
So to a layman, that sounds like it's a tremendous amount of time that's put into the piece of art. Then you add on the obsessing or the thinking about it, the dreaming about it. It's so many hours put into one piece of art. And a lot of people think, why is that art valued at what it is? How much, time did they put into it? And then it's bewildering the hours that go in. I mean, what are you talking? Hundreds of hours, thousands, tens of whatever. So that's kind of something good for us to know in the general population of art and what it's valued at.
Yes.
Madeline, you paint. What's your medium that you use predominantly?
Oils.
Oh, okay, cool.
But I do a lot of mixed media too. Like I'll start out with acrylics and collage, and then I usually paint over with the oils and oil sticks. Morgan, I have a question for you. Okay. Since I first saw your art, you were doing very traditional substrates. And for those who don't know what a substrate is, it's what you paint on, like canvas or board or whatever. So you've been using aluminum.
Yes.
Does that give you a lot of light or reflection?
Yes, it does. It took me, I think I've painted the same painting 5 times on aluminum before I really got what I was looking for. And again, it went back to I was using too much paint. For what I wanted. I decided to do thin layers. I use a brayer roller like people use in printmaking to roll on a very thin layer of oil paint, let that cure, and then I kind of scrub the paint into it so I can let the background show through. I let the aluminum show through. And it, of course, because of the gray of the aluminum, it's a little bit darker and it takes longer to build up those lighter colors.
Oh, okay.
And then yesterday, I started experimenting with copper panel because
that's going to be beautiful.
I want to bring in warmer colors underwater. Of course, you have the high, sheen of the copper. And I started talking to a friend of mine because she used to work in the metal shop at Mike's company, and she has a lot of metal experience with metals. And we were talking about different patina effects you can do and how you can add flame to it to create a rainbow effect. And I was imagining how, because when you see patinaed copper, it has a kind of underwater look already.
It does.
So I was thinking that would be kind of fun to experiment with, to do that and then paint figures into it. So we'll see what happens.
No, that's a good idea. And I guess how would the paints and everything react chemically? Could there possibly be something that's going to go on with that substrate you said?
Yes.
With the substrate down, even after that may change the tone of your painting in the next 12 months or something. That's really interesting.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that. It's like you could either let that happen and it would oxidize, or you can seal it. And that's what I need to figure out. Is like, how do you seal the copper so that doesn't happen? I know with like aluminum panel, the kind I use, it's ACM, so it's aluminum composite material.
Okay.
And when I talked to this one, I think it was Karen at Artists and Craftsmen, she's been using oil paints for like 20 years. She was like, oh yeah, I can paint directly on it. Because I thought I would have to prep the surface.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But she was like, no, you don't have to. You can paint directly on it. And so far, it works. We'll see what happens to them in like 30 years. I don't know.
Karen Ann Myers at Artists and Craftsmen on downtown King Street.
Oh, yeah. Shout out. I know
full
her.
of knowledge.
Yes.
Yeah, I know her from the old Redux days.
Yeah.
The copper sounds exciting. I think that's a good idea. Especially you're talking about, burnishing it or treating it or whatever. That's a cool medium.
Yeah.
Would copper be expensive? It sounds. I know people steal it out of HVAC units to go sell it for meth. You know what?
Yeah, I need to. So the copper panels that I bought, an 8x10 is $25, and so it's like if you want to do, it's going to be expensive. But I was just researching yesterday, like metal salvage companies. So maybe there's a way I can find. So if anybody out here who's listening who knows, let me know about some sheet metal salvage.
That's cool.
Yeah,
because I think it'd be cool to like reuse.
Yeah.
Or if it's already
and then
rusted
just make your stretcher and
yeah.
get Mike to put it on.
Yeah.
Mike is her husband, by the way.
Yeah.
Morgan's husband.
Yeah.
Right. And what does Mike do again?
So he owns a custom fabrication company, TTS Studios, and he's very, very handy. He has, he has welding experience, carpentry. So he does build a lot of my birch panels, and then he builds the cradles for the aluminum panels after I finish them and we attach them. And then yesterday I was telling him how I want to paint larger, but I like to paint on a hard surface. So I put the canvas on the wall, but managing a very large canvas is going to be difficult. So he was talking about some system he could build for me.
I was just about to ask, does he get all excited? And he's like, oh man, we need to do this. We need to do this. And you have to go, honey, hold on.
Yeah.
Pump the brakes.
Yeah. Because he doesn't have a lot of time. So that's the part. It's like, I love these ideas, but it's like when he was talking about wenches and stuff that would hold up.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
That's nice though.
Yeah.
It's good to have somebody handy to help you with your passion, your art, your anything like that. Madeline's helper basically knows about comic books and computer science. So that
can be helpful.
And music.
I guess it's helpful to get a retirement. That's about it.
Yes. Computer knowledge is helpful.
Right.
Yes. Well, he has to do stuff for me on the computer.
Yeah.
Or either DJ has to do it.
Yeah. DJ, our son, that is our co-host, our normal co-host on the podcast. So Morgan, are you in any galleries or have you been in any, or do you just have your space?
So right now I have my space, but I'm also under, I guess, I just submitted or sent 3 pieces over to a new gallery.
Okay.
And it's in North Charleston. It's called Needham, Nidum.
Okay.
And they're actually a high-end tattoo artist place. So it's Betsy and Brad Butler. They own it. And they decided as part of the tattoo parlor, they wanted to have a high-end art gallery to go with it. And they wanted to represent artists that don't do like the traditional Charleston art.
Good.
And I met them. There was an event in North Charleston called Assembly. And they came by there. They saw my art there. And then they actually came by my house during the Park Circle Art Walk.
Oh, good.
So that's how I met them. And they're like, we really want to have your art. And they actually selected one of my large pieces that it's 4 feet by 5 feet. And which is great because it's just sitting in my studio. I can't take it anywhere.
Yeah.
So and then I have 2 other pieces with that.
Okay, that's really interesting with the tattoo. And high end is a cool idea because, they're both art forms. They're, one is traditionally not hoity-toity. I didn't think I'd go in and get a Dale Earnhardt tattoo and then a fine work of art is right next to me. But that speaks to the thing that there needs to be outlets for artists and there needs to be galleries. So Park Circle, folks, is probably the most progressive place in Charleston, the entire Low Country. And it is a destination for folks to come out and be who they are and party or meet other people that are like-minded in the arts, the alternative, this, that, whatever, professional music. Mm-hmm. Why the hell don't we have a gallery?
Well, I will tell you this, and I have to give kudos to Kyle Lom.
Oh, yeah.
They have done an extra great job trying to feature local artists and offered residencies and shows at the gallery. And apparently there are people who are not from Park Circle that are submitting and getting in and doing some of these shows.
Well, what about a commercial in art or a co-op, or what do y'all think of that stuff?
So my dream for Park Circle is to have, so I know that the Naval Yard right now, they have their 10-year plan of what they're turning those warehouses into. So I don't know what the full plan is, but it would be wonderful if they turned one of those warehouses, or there are, I think, a few vacant buildings down on Reynolds Avenue, into a studio space.
Oh, yeah.
And
or a series, so you could have art walks.
Yeah, but I think it's the difficult part is that everybody wants to make money. And so it needs to be somehow funded. I don't know how. I was just talking to another artist. I think we were talking about how do you make an arts district in a city? Like, how does that happen?
Well, NODA did it up in Charlotte.
And I feel like that's what Park Circle needs.
We're almost there. That's what I think.
What is required? How does that
money?
Money. Yeah, I think a good. You could probably start off with a Epicenter Space Studios, get some kind of corporate sponsorship, go take your grant writing classes, figure out some kind of outreach, sell it to because if you could really talk a corporation or somebody with money into believing that this will show how benevolent they are, and there is a culture that is growing more in the United States about wanting to be in touch with that kind of side of folks that corporations are aggressively trying to do. I think you could probably take a chance and do that. It's just like venture capitalism of intellect. So,
and it takes time and takes somebody to take charge. I've thought about, I know Redux has Big Bertha, they're building down near downtown, but it's like, would they expand and like come up into North Charleston and have like a larger
nice.
Yeah, and they're already established. Yeah.
Exactly.
I guess it would be like if you decided, I'm gonna do this. I'm picking that torch up,
Yeah.
I guess y'all should probably research how much time that's really going to be involved.
I mean, that's a full-time job.
It is. It's almost like running for city council or something.
Yes, because you would have to work with the local city government, get things approved or permits. I mean,
we need somebody like you.
Yeah.
Who's going to pay me?
Somebody would have to pay you. Like if God rest its soul, but the river districts up in Asheville. I remember when it was first starting, and I went there last year.
Yeah,
and it was night and day from what I remember.
It was incredible. Yeah, they had that's exactly what I think of with this area.
Like maybe co-ops or something where somebody subsidized or something. I think Greenville, South Carolina does that too with some of theirs. So it would be nice if. Yeah, writing a grant would be nice. I guess we need to go take that class, Morgan.
Yeah. I actually did take one with Caitlin Chapman. I'll give her a little shout out. I did that back in April, and it was great.
Good.
And she helped me. I applied for, I think, 4 grants in August. I ended up getting one.
Yay!
So I got the South Carolina Arts Commission grant, which is exciting. So that's going to help fund my next series. So thank you. But and I know and I know Caitlin, I think she's going to offer that class again, so definitely keep your eye out for that one.
Yes, Reynolds Avenue in North Charleston's a up and coming place. Yes. There's really a ton of up and coming places, and they're all within kind of the epicenter of what's going on here. What's very interesting about North Charleston, I'm going to go off on a side tangent. It is the biggest city in South Carolina almost, with just the way it reaches out from the peninsula of Charleston all the way to Somerville. It's kind of, there's not really there's not really a North Charleston identity. So that's That's always puzzled me.
Yeah, we went to, this was I don't know, maybe it's been almost 10 years. There was an urban planning group that came through, and they were looking at that old naval hospital and what to do with that. But that was the biggest issue, is when they went around and, I guess they did a questionnaire or surveyed the community. Mm-hmm. The downtown of North Charleston, there's Reynolds Avenue, Park Circle, and then I think there was one other area. So it's like North Charleston has technically like 3 downtowns according to the population. Yeah. So there was no okay, well, where does that meet? But one of the things they discussed, which isn't happening now because, again, people want their money, so they're not going to invest in it, but was to have like green spaces and footpaths and bridges that would bridge those areas together, so you could walk from one place to the other, and having some sort of public transportation.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. It would also, so people could finally, get around each other, some inspiration. You said you went to the Assembly recently. What was it?
So that was an event called Assembly. It was not the apartment complex Assembly, not to be confused.
I know it. That's over at the Navy Yard, right? That's the new one. So how was that?
It was great. Yeah. Okay. So they had us set up in this central location. It's a building. So the large warehouse building, I think it's Storehouse 9. Yep. Mm-hmm. It's a bunch of residencies. And then there's a space in the center, bottom floor, that hasn't been leased out yet. So they are bringing in artists to hang their artwork on, I think it's the first Sunday of the month is when Celadon does their big sale. And it was wonderful because you have the people going to Celadon, and then they know, they'll see the signs and everything, and they walk through, and you're inside. It's not like a market where you have to set up your tent and everything. You get to display your work on a wall, which I feel like is also very helpful. And I think there were 7 artists at the time that I did it, and I think they're going to do it again in December. I hope that I'll get to be a part of it again in December.
That is good. I know that outdoor shows and bazaars and markets and whatnot can be a challenge, especially with the folks that might be moseying around or whatnot. So it's cool that Assembly is now there.
It gives it a more it lifts up. It's a more formalized event, right? And it's I guess it makes it feel more high end, if that's the right word. Or,
for sure. Yeah, for sure. And it also, probably the folks that are coming there are coming to watch art.
Yeah, and purchase art. Yeah.
I could see a lot of designers coming there. Yeah. People who actually purchase art for their clients would probably go there.
True.
So, yeah,
that makes sense.
Wow. Do you guys ever get folks that are like brokers for art talking to you?
I've had, I work with an art curator down in Florida.
Oh, okay.
But that was, we'll see what happens. This was about a year ago. I actually met him through Piccolo Spoleto, and I had these prints that I was selling. They were just small black and white ink prints of these ink paintings that I did. And he asked me, he's like, could you do that as 4 foot by 6 foot paintings? And I'd only ever done them as 11 by 14 inches. And so I thought, okay, I can give it a try. But he said, he's like, I'm an art curator down in Florida for interior designers. And basically what happens is you have these multi-million-dollar houses. The designer needs art for them. So he goes out and he selects the art based on the designer's needs. Mm-hmm. And they hang the art in the house. And the hope is that when the person purchases the house, they will purchase the art in it that's already there.
I'll be damned.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting. Mm-hmm. It's like spec upon spec.
Right, yeah.
I might get the house, but I'm not sure about the art, but what the hell, let's just throw it all together, honey.
Exactly, yeah. So I have 2 pieces that I did for him at the 4 foot by 6 foot size, and that was last summer. And it took a while, nothing happened. Because he also has a small gallery space, but it's within a design center. Mm-hmm. So the only way you can get into design centers is if you have an appointment with an interior designer.
Right.
And but now he sent me photos back in, I think it was September. They're now hanging in this house that is for sale, and I think it's in Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, that's so cool.
So hopefully it goes through.
That is great. It's great. Is it exciting for you too, or for any artist to see your art in the wild that?
Of course it is.
Yes, it is. And I'm doing an art fair, speaking of art fairs, in Boca Raton in Florida in December. And I asked him, I was like, well, I'm down there. If they haven't sold yet, can I come by and see them? Because it's just to see them in the space.
Is it during Art Basel?
No, it's the weekend after.
Oh, that's still okay.
Yeah.
That's great because there's still a lot of people that are coming from New York, and that's when they come down.
Yeah.
It's the beginning of art season or...
For Florida. Yeah, Florida,
yeah.
their art fair circuit is massive.
It goes till January.
Really? Yeah, because the weather is always, I mean, other than the summertime, but like this time of year, it's still warm. And so, yes, a lot of people from up north are coming down there. And there are some artists I've talked to, and they will just stay in Florida and they will just go from art fair to art fair and travel around the state. And because there's like one every weekend.
You might as well if that's your business.
Yeah.
Have you been to Art Basel before?
I haven't. It's on my list. Have you guys been?
Yeah, we have.
Okay. I would love to go.
It's fun.
It's pretty rad.
Yeah.
So
lots of people.
Yes. Yeah. When did you go?
When the banana
the banana art, the tape. Amazing.
Whatever year that was.
We didn't get to see it though. And the guys who were repping this fellow, they're like, they had to close the lines down, and apparently somebody came in there.
Somebody got it and ate it. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Or something like that. Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
I know. If you don't want somebody to eat it, use a dragon fruit or a pineapple.
It was
or something.
the whole story.
Yeah.
Which was a great story. Yeah.
And you couldn't ask for better promotion. And I don't even want to get in on the conversation of art as either experience or shock
shock value.
Create an emotion like that, which absolutely seemed to be pillar to post people fighting over what that was,
And it's like you create that much.
But
the fact that we're talking about it now.
It's fun to me to think that somebody did that.
Yeah.
But,
But, and damn it, that was probably the most promoted Art Basel ever. Is it Basel or Basel?
Basel.
Okay, cool. I say that interchangeably. I usually use the European pronunciation.
Just like get it right.
Yeah. Come on now.
No, I'm sorry. I use the South American. You don't even know what they say down there because you've never been there.
Okay. Okay, let me get back on the subject.
Okay.
What are you working on now?
So I just started a new series. And so I did that photo shoot over the summer.
Is this the copper series?
So it's going to be just more underwater, but I will do copper, aluminum. Like I will do all different.
Okay.
I'm trying to. So for I have a show set up in May at the community center or the Park Circle community building.
All right.
And it's the weekend before Piccolo Spalato starts. I know. I figured, I show the art, I take it down, and then I put it in my tent.
Don't feel bad. Mine is in June.
I know. I talked to Connie today.
Connie Riggins.
Yes. So I started that, and my goal, ideally at least 15 paintings. I would love to have like 20 or 25, but we'll see what happens.
Something for everybody.
Something for everybody.
Gosh, when you're painting for that kind of event, do you have an inventory, and do you start freaking? Now. Do you freak completely out if you're not quite close to it?
She'll be doing Piccolo Spalato, so she needs to have 50 paintings.
Yeah, or whatever you're going to do. But when do you start agonizing over that?
Well, that won't. Probably. Well, so right now I'm trying to figure out what I have to order, like material wise.
Right.
Like I went to Artists and Craftsmen and bought a few panels just so I can get started, but I was talking to Mike the other day. I'm like, I need to order birch ply, and I need to order, all the, 1x4s that he uses to build the frame so he can build, because I have to give it to him in batches. It's like, he has time on a Saturday, he's going to build 10 of them for me.
Right.
Then I can paint on them. I do have some canvas and stuff to get started, but I think the part is like, sometimes there will be a painting, which this is the part I'm nervous about, the large paintings. I'm like, what if I don't like it? And I've worked so hard on this giant painting. So I don't want to sometimes there are paintings that you have to put away for like a month and then come back to it.
Right.
And that part is when, if that happens to me at the end, like, so if it's March and I have paintings that and then putting them away, I'm like, well, I don't have very much time to think about this.
How is that table standing there with only 3 legs? That happened to me.
Yeah.
Wait, I think I remember that.
Your easel
or something? No, it was wrong. It was so wrong on the perspective. And I looked at it, I was like, holy crap. And it was up in a gallery. Nobody saw it.
They probably thought you did it on purpose.
Nah, I didn't.
They probably had such philosophical talks about that. It's like,
How dare she?
I think the artist was trying to capture the emptiness in their life, and that one leg is the fleeting love and desire they never got.
She has no leg to stand on.
Oh, well, okay, that's there you go.
100 years from now, somebody's gonna look at that painting and they're really gonna dig into the why.
I went and fixed it.
Yeah,
and sold it. Yeah, so that's fine.
Yeah, they're gonna. Okay, good.
Yeah.
But one of the things my mentor made me come to terms with is that not every painting you paint is going to be a good one.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And you're not going to, because there are several I have in a closet that I will probably never show or sell.
Are you going to burn them? I want to burn
I want to burn mine. Yes. I always think about burning my painting.
We should have some kind of thing, like
that's your show. That's a show right there.
Yeah.
And then if somebody wants it, they can pull it out of the burn.
Just bring a bunch of artists together to burn their painting.
Damn, I'll promote that.
Yeah. Oh my God, that would be fun. Just
watch out for all the chemicals.
The burn.
Yeah. Shrimp City Report presents Burn Your Painting.
Yes. I will usually just paint over them. Like I'll just start a new painting. I'll sand them down and then paint over.
But some of them I just feel like what was I even thinking? It looked like some crazy woman went in there and started.
Well, I'm gonna probably start wrapping this, but that gives me a good pivot question. Is there a painting that you have created in your career that you it tore you up to sell? That when you saw it, when you saw it walk out of the gallery, the house, the whatever, you were like, shit, I should have just kept that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, there was a painting called Uprising, and it was a painting that was one of the first paintings I did for when I started pursuing the underwater. Mm-hmm. And I did an event. So I go to Ethos Gym downtown, and they've been very supportive, and they have a really nice lobby area, and they thought, hey, let's do an art event here. So I was just like, oh yeah, whatever. So we did it, and I think I had finished that painting maybe in the last few months. So I hung it there, but I was like, nobody's gonna buy it. And then sure enough, this woman came in and she was like, I want that one. And I was like, what? You can't take it. But thankfully I know her, so it's almost like I can check in on it. But that one was difficult.
Oh, it's like adopting your child to somebody that you know.
Yes,
right on.
Exactly.
That's good.
So Morgan, as we're wrapping up, could you tell me your web address and how people can contact you on Instagram or Facebook?
Yeah. So it's kind of long, but I'll start with Instagram. It's Morgan_S_East. And then my website is Morgan, SERRENOEAST.com. So MorganSerrenoEast.com. I have Facebook, but I'm never on it. So.
I'm not either.
Yeah.
I'm usually because I want pictures out there.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, we will definitely make sure that those are in the show notes. We always include a little narrative on the artist and some photos that we will add with your art. Of course, the ones that you would like to include. We also want to thank Paradiso again for having us out here live. If you've heard any music or police sirens while
sirens.
I'm sorry.
Jolene,
that's
siren.
Yeah, I'm sorry. If you heard any cop sirens, then that's because we've been recording live, and we are the Shrimp City Report. I want to thank Morgan and Madeline for coming in. And by the way, I've never been to South America either. Thanks, y'all. Have a good week.
Thank you.
Thank you.